Hello, in this video we'll be looking at a traveling soundboard. This is something that you would usually see when you're in a traveling band or in a thespian group. We're going to talk a little bit about the tonality, how we can adjust how the actors actually sound. We'll also be looking at some of the ability to patch in so that you can listen to the performer on a headset, and we'll talk just how to blend all of the different actors or thespians as they are performing together. So if you come in a little closer to the board, what we have here, just like you saw on our larger board, is the main gain. So this controls all the channels together. Well, and then as you move over, each of these are separate inputs. So each one of these in this particular setup represents a separate microphone. So we have 10 different headset microphones and 2 handheld microphones. So when we are bringing up a sound check, what we're trying to do is blend all of the different performers to have the same volume across all of their different speaking parts. As we do a sound check, what you would end up with is a board that may look similar to this. And that's because the different performers will have a different personal volume. So their own resonance and how far they project into the theater will control how much we'll actually give them. We also have 2 different types of headsets. So some of our headsets are called Countryman or a smaller cardioid, and we have another more of a sport pack headset. And what you want to do is be aware of the type of, with our particular setup, and you'll often find this on any stage production, is you'll have different types of equipment that you're going to be working with. So in this case, we have these sport mics that we use for our assemblies, and that we use anytime we're doing commentation for sports, or if students are performing in the classroom. And they have very different tonality than our theater performance microphones. So we have these theater performance microphones, which look much better on the actual performers. They're much smaller, and they have a much better sound quality. However, they're at a much lower gain. So when we go and actually mix them together, what we'll end up with is these, which have a higher gain and are more durable, but the sound quality isn't quite as good, we'll actually bring that gain level down. Where when we come in with this one, we'll actually have that particular microphone up a little bit relative to the other type of microphone, because this doesn't have as high of a gain, but we can actually control the sound quality much better. So some of the things that will happen, this particular unit picks up a lot of low end because of the shape of the actual microphone. So both of these happen to be omnidirectional microphones, but underneath this windscreen, sometimes they actually refer to it as a spit screen, you'll see that there's a very different type of microphone here. This does pick up, because the diaphragm is larger, it does pick up a lot more bass or low tones, and so we'll generally have to, comparatively speaking, bring a little bit of the low end out. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is that when we started our mix, we made sure to have all of our line levels flat, because we want to listen to the room and everyone that's testing it out and not being really controlling a lot of the effects. So start them all flat, and then as you hear something that is lacking or is overexpressed, that's when you could bring in some of the different tonality that you're looking for. Are also at a very different level. So just with this very same setup, this particular handheld, its gain is much lower than the others. So a couple of things that you can do is bring these pans up, and those are for micro adjustments. If you need to make macro or larger scale adjustments, what we have is across the top of the board, you can actually gain up that particular channel. So when you go to look at any of the boards that you've seen, or as you get into sound, you'll notice they'll generally have at the top some kind of a gain control. So for example, I can gain up this channel, and that brings the bass power level of this particular channel up. So I may have to bring my pan down slightly. So you have these 2, large scale change and small scale change. So that's how we bring the volumes up. Now what we want to do is talk about how the performer sounds. If you hear a really deep voice, you may want to bring some of the bass or low frequency out of that particular performer. So in this case, we have a low, a mid, and a high frequency. These lower frequencies are where you'll hear a booming, and sometimes it'll muffle the sound, so you'll want to bring that out. But if you don't have enough, the performer often will sound nasally or won't be able to fill the room in a kind of a melodious way. The highs are usually where you'll hear articulation, and sometimes if you get too high, if you're making like a cymbal, you'll hear a tss, 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 and it'll linger, so you'll want to bring some of the high out. In this particular board, you have a mid-range that also has a control of where the frequency band is. So you have to look at where in that particular frequency band, and this goes from 120 hertz up to 4,000 hertz. And you pick where you want to make a minor adjustment, and then you can actually gain up or down that particular frequency range. The lower you are, the more you're going to be picking up lower bass tones. As you move into the middle, that's where you'll get articulation of the voice, and as you move up, that's where you'll pick up more sounds that you hear from instruments like cymbals. But another thing that we want to talk a little bit about today is effects. So this particular board, and many boards have onboard effects. Some will have effects that will be connected through separate hardware, but in this case we do have effects. So we get to choose which effect we want. Since we generally are using this for speaking and singing, we'll use a reverb. But when you go to put it in effect, you don't want to have reverb for vocals, for speaking parts. You do want to use them for singing. So in this case, we've set our effect to be a beat delay, and it's a regeneration. So what happens is we'll take whatever channel that we want, and so in this case, this would be channel 12, and if I bring up its effect level, it all feeds into this one effects channel. So I'll bring up my effects, and let's see. Test, test, test. So now you can hear with no effect, and when I go and I put in an effect, you can hear that it really changes the tone. So I can actually bring up the effect level, and now you can hear all the delay, and it's not very appealing from a spoken standpoint. But I was able to mute out the effect, where I can bring the effect down, and really change the type of sound that the performer is actually offering to the audience. Other things that you can do that we rarely do in these cases are panning. You can pan left and right. If you wanted to have sound coming out of the left side of the stage versus the right, you have the ability to actually change that pan. So you can pan left and right out of any of these. You can use that sometimes for an effect of a movement. You can also use it to have a particular, if you have instruments on one side of the stage that are naturally producing sound and you want to fill the rest of the space, you might put those instruments only through the right-hand side. But it is something else that's on all boards. There are additionally auxiliary sends. The auxiliary sends allow you to send your signal out to other equipment. We won't be using any of that in our case, but that's what this one is. One of the roles of the sound producer is to make sure that you have particular microphones ready to go for your different thespians. So as someone's on stage, you may want to check the level for someone that is preparing to go on, to make sure that their microphone is on and that their levels are going to match, because you did your original sound check before the actual performance. So one of the things that we do is we'll actually patch a microphone in to a headset. So on this particular board, it's called a pre-fade level. So if I have a particular headset and I already had it mic checked and it's ready to go, I can turn on a pre-fade level. I'll get an LED indicator, and what that's done is it's sent it over into this little headphone area. So what I can do is if I have a performer talking into a headset, I could check test, 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 and I'll be able to determine how loud they are compared to what the rest of them were. So we'll often set them beforehand, not only through the PA, we'll also set them through the headset, and then when they're get ready to go, I'll pull them out of the headset, and then I'll actually put them onto the microphone. So now, so this particular microphone wasn't on, I didn't hear it here. So if I can bring it into my headset, I can take it out of, I can hear myself now in the headset, I can take myself out of the PA, or I can put myself back into the PA, and you can hear the difference in the video. So this is a really powerful tool for queuing up particular music pieces or queuing up microphones as they're getting ready to go to perform. So that really does cover most of the different functions of this simple board, and that's all for now.